With this video I'm going to show you how to take apart a specialised Brose motor. Had in trouble with this one, second-hand bike, so there's no warranty on it. First thing is we're going to take off this cover. You undo it by taking off these so those 5 screws are out, 2 long ones from here, or 6 screws from around here. Now you've got to crack that off because there's a bearing housing on this part of the case. So I'm going to start by knocking with a pin punch through here, and that'll actually keep this surface nice and keep this surface here intact. So I'm just going to put the pin punch through there and just give that a little knock. Now off. You can see I've got some belt dust in there. I think that's half my problem. This is a tensioning pulley. This tensioning pulley you adjust here from the outside. The tensioning pulley just lifts off, so loosen it off. You can take that off, and then we can take the belt off. This belt, they're good for 15,000 Ks, but to get this pulley here loose, I just knocked on this shaft here about 3 times, only half. Not too hard, and it's just pushed that shaft through there a little bit less than what it was, and the pulley then pops off and it just slides. Get the gear cover off, just rotate that clockwise piece, a little bit of a turn, and it'll just lift off. So if you have a slipping specialised motor, it's usually the smallest brake bearing that's causing the drama. This big one here is the FE448Z, and that is for backpedaling, and the sensor drive is the FE443, and that's the one that's causing the problems here. So we pull this apart, and you've got a ball race up in there that you can clean out as well. But inside this pulley is the problem here. So this brake bearing, if I shift these bits out of the way, this brake bearing you can see is not sitting uniform. The cage has started to tear out and fall apart. So I'll replace that. Now, how you get in there to replace that, it's a bit tricky. So this has already been done before. You can see here I've made some alterations. So the aluminium housing has this hard bearing surface pressed into it, and you can see you can't knock that out by hitting it with a pin punch from the other side like I have done before. So what I've done is I've drilled a couple of holes here, and you can see the hard bearing surface below. So I can just put a mini pin punch down through there, and I'm going to set that up on a surface and knock out that insert, that hardened insert on the other side, and we'll be able to replace that bearing. So you can see just with a pin punch down those small holes I've drilled, you can see that housing removing, getting pressed out from the other side. So, and the secret is when we put that back together again, is to make sure that that housing gets pressed in and doesn't move. So we've Loctited that in. So my initial Specialized unit, this brake bearing cage had fallen apart. The bearing teeth were all alright. So of course this thing lets a shaft rotate one way but not the other. And so I've replaced it with a Chinese bearing from Alibaba, which if you just put in the bearing code of FE443 into the Alibaba search engine, I've found these bearings online for about $8 US each, and clearly didn't quite do the job. I know that local bearing suppliers here in Australia can supply a bearing for about $200, and that's where I'm going now. So you can see these bearing teeth all have a little lip on the left hand side. You can see that some of the lips have broken off here and here. The lips broken off. Some of these others down here, the lips are broken off. And those lips have then got into the bearing and jammed it solid. So now what the problem is, easy to fix. So what I need to do is just pop in a new FE443 sprag bearing, put it back together, and then the secret is to making sure she goes again is when you press this housing back in, so you put the sprag bearing in there, press this housing back in, we need to use some good quality Loctite. Now I've used this on the bearing housing to in place, because otherwise you will still get the slipping, because as the bearing has jammed, the slipping is actually this bearing surface turning inside the aluminium pulley. And you can eliminate that by not putting a lot of load on the motor, but I like full turbo. So what I'm going to do is pop in a new sprag bearing into the housing, and then we push that back into there with some Loctite on it, and that'll make that good as gold again. Again, real careful not to pull that off the journal, because it's bloody hard to put back on again. And now I'm going to just coat it with some lithium grease. So this end bearing's a bit rumbly. This seal actually just clips off, so I can flush and repack that bearing. So don't forget the wave washer goes on. And then you drop the clutch on. Washed out that needle bearing in there. And then it just drops in, and I'm going to press that together. After all that effort with the Levo and repair that I'm pretty confident lasted the time, worked out the best way to get a good biking experience is get him a reader with a Shimano motor, and that's done 1500 k's without a drama. Beautiful bit of gear. Your Levo riders would love it.